wonderful week and a great morning this morning. We have a show set up for you today that is truly special and wonderful, full of very great conversation with guests that I'm so excited to be able to share with you. Inside of MonPausPopcorn.com is what's popping. We're going to start the broadcast off in just a moment with a very special Dolphin Dive, unlike any other Dolphin Dive you've ever seen. So Isaiah Salter joined me for a very special and unique conversation where we share knowledge and wisdom about life. You know the tagline for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is where sports meets life. And this broadcast definitely carries the weight of that. Isaiah Salter and I speaking on life, on adversity, on hate, negativity, how to respond to all of it, and things that we've been through, things that we've learned, growing, evolving. And speaking of growth and evolving, we also discuss Bob Beretta, the athletics director's decision to have Isaiah speak as the student athlete at the press conference when LeMoyne publicly stated that they were going to Division I from Division II, how that all came about, and his relationship with Bob Beretta. So a lot of great things coming up, and you definitely want to stay till the end, after the end credits, okay? Wake Up Call is pulling a Marvel today. You do not want to miss anything. Stay after the credits of my conversation with Isaiah Salter for a very special message. And then from there, we will talk at 10 a.m. Eastern Time live with Joe Tesori as we continue our Road to D1 series inside of Dolphin Dive and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the LeMoyne College Dolphins. I'll be joined by LeMoyne's men's and women's golf head coach Joe Tesori to give his thoughts and his take on the move to D1. And then at 10:35 Eastern Time, I'll speak with Nick Moore, who is returning to Binghamton University. He was an assistant coach under Beth Ann Shapiro-Ord for the women's basketball team, and then he moved on to become the head coach of the women's team at Medaille College. With the closing of Medaille, he has returned to Binghamton University as an assistant coach, helping in recruiting as well, and being the defensive coordinator under Beth Ann Shapiro-Ord. And Nick Moore will be joining me live this morning at 10:35 a.m. Eastern Time from right down Interstate 81 at Binghamton University for women's basketball. So a lot of great stuff coming up this morning. I am ecstatic to share it with you, and it's coming right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. For you, G-Mama. What's up, everybody? Dan Tortora here for another edition of the Dolphin Dive. And I'm very excited that the hat that you see on and all this wake-up call stuff at Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, all of our apparel is now available. It's being shared on our social media. Our international apparel store is open, so please go and support. I appreciate it so very much. Also, speaking of apparel, I've been wearing this. I've had to wash it because I wear this a lot. Now, when I travel down to Florida, and Isaiah doesn't know this because I'm going to tell it in a moment, I wore this shirt when I was traveling on the plane, and I just so happened to be put in a seat next to a young lady, and she's sitting there. We start talking, and I said something about LeMoyne, and she goes like this to her shirt. She's wearing a LeMoyne shirt,
wow.
And she's got the logo there.
Wow.
She's graduated from LeMoyne, has since moved to Detroit, is in the medical field, and we spent all this time talking about how great LeMoyne is, and of all people to sit next to, and we were both wearing LeMoyne stuff that day.
Small world.
So it's funny how God works, and it's a perfect segue into today's Dolphin Dive as we continue the Road to D1 series. I'm here with Isaiah Salter of the men's basketball program. Isaiah, as always, good to have you here.
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you. So you got the opportunity to speak at the official D1 press conference, and I know that that's not a small honor by any stretch of the imagination. We were talking about it a little bit off the air. How did it all come about?
Well, over the past year, me and Bob Beretta's relationship has really grown, and we really connected. And just through conversations and our relationship that we've built, he just felt like I was, the perfect candidate for that role. And I'm really, really blessed that he chose me, and it was a great opportunity.
So when you built that relationship with Bob, the AD here, which you could see on AD and DT all throughout the year, how did that get started that you and Bob connected?
Well, I just saw how much he really appreciated sports and us as student athletes. Yeah. I mean, he would pop in our practices. He would always check in on us whenever he would see us. He was always asking how we were doing. And he was just a really, really friendly and genuine guy. And I just think the connection just built up over the days of us seeing each other and stuff. And then one day, I just went into his office. We just chopped it up for like an hour, 2 hours. Yeah. And from there, it kind of just sparked our genuine connection, that I knew was always there. But that conversation really took the lid off. And from there, we've had many more conversations and connections. And it's been great.
To have an athletics director that would give you 5 minutes,
let alone 2 hours. What does that mean to you?
Everything. I mean, it shows that for him, it's not just a job. It's not just about a salary. It's really, he loves sports and he loves us as student athletes, but more important as humans and individuals.
Yeah.
And I think he really shows that with just how he carries himself, his character above all, and the way he just treats us on a day in and day out basis. And I just felt extremely comfortable going to him and having conversations, and he's shown multiple times that he's open to that with anybody that's around here. So just having that, it really makes us feel like we're valued here, and it creates an open and safe space for everybody to really have genuine connections.
And going through this D1 process, when you talk about Bob wanted to hear from you, the school wanted to hear from you, there was so many open forums. And when Dr. Linda Lemura, the president, and AD Bob Beretta, and the board of directors, and everybody, when this process was going on, and they allowed me so graciously to be a part of this process, to see it kind of unfold, I kept kind of reminding Bob, because we talked about it a lot, that other schools don't do this, and I mean, I can't say they did or they didn't, but the question becomes like, did Oklahoma or Texas, did they have open forums? Did they consult the community? Are they meeting with students and student athletes and parents? Or are they just saying, hey, this is better for us, it's a good decision? Dr. Linda Lemura, a lot of time. And the board of directors, and speaking with Pete DeLora about it, a lot of time. Bob, so much time, and just constant, conversation. To be a part of an institution that involved you all, that was willing to involve your families, willing to involve students, student athletes, alumni, people in the community. When LeMoyne opened the doors to this process, which, like I said, other people and other institutions can have it a closed process, when they opened this door, they opened the door to the fact that people could say, no, I don't like it. And that happened. There were moments where people were against it. They had a lot of questions. What does it mean to you to be a part of a college that said, we're thinking about doing this, but we're not shutting and locking the door. We want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It meant everything. I mean, it prioritized the community aspect that LeMoyne really pushes, and welcoming everybody into that conversation, because more than anybody, I think it does affect the students and the student athletes when we make a transition like that. So I think they were very transparent and honest about what was going on, and they were open to disagreements and difference of opinions and perspectives that I think really helped us ultimately make the decision to go D1. So I think just from a reflective standpoint, the way they went about it was really, really healthy and open, and it allowed for us to do it in a way that, I'm not going to say made everybody happy, but allowed for an easier transition in the whole realm of things.
Because it wasn't a secret.
Yes.
It was
exactly.
transparent.
Yes, which is huge.
And I don't know if anybody's ever done it this way.
Yeah.
Exactly this way, to be this open. And so in this process, you and I talked about your story getting to LeMoyne. You have a unique story,
yes, sir,
of not being here from the beginning. And so you utilize the world of the transfer portal, right? And you end up at LeMoyne, and your story being unique, and you choose a place, but it's not your forever home. You end up at LeMoyne becomes your home, and then overnight, you go from being a D2 to Division I athlete, which I said to Bob after the fact, because I love basketball and I played it most of my life, I said, if I called my parents and said, I'm at LeMoyne, I'm a D2 athlete, they'd go, oh, that's so great, we're so happy for you. And then if I said, hey, guess what, Mom and Dad? I'm a D1 athlete as of 7 minutes ago. You're in such a unique, historic opportunity that I think is really, it's got to be fun for you. I mean, it's got to be challenging, but yet, you're a D1 athlete right now.
Yes, sir.
That's crazy.
It's amazing. I mean, I always say it, one of my favorite sayings is the journey is the reward, not the destination. And this is just another facet of that saying. When I look back on my whole journey and how I even got here, it's just crazy to think about. And I don't think that one moment is oh yeah, I made it. That's my whole college career. But looking at everything that I've been through, the ups and downs, and then it leading up to a moment like that, really kind of just puts things in perspective and just put me in a state of gratitude for where I am and the things that I've been through.
If you didn't make the decisions that you made, you wouldn't be a D1 athlete right now.
Yes, sir.
I mean, people talk about God, people don't talk about God. I do, because God's a huge part of every part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in coincidences, because the fact that everything just worked out for you, or for some of the other, men and women that came here, there's something to be said about there's a path, there's a journey. Mm-hmm. Do you sit and reflect with God? Do you pray? Do you talk to God and say, like, kind of smile and say, you were doing all this stuff that I had who would have thought that everything that happened would have happened in your life the way that it happened to get you here?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I think about that stuff all the time. I mean, there's a lot of moments where I just kind of sit back and reflect on everything that I've been through and knowing that it is bigger than me. And I kind of like to look at my relationship with God as like a collaboration, because I know that behind the scenes, God is doing a lot of the work and moving the details, but it's my job to stay in the moment and show up as the best version of myself every time that I wake up and I show up for people, or it's on the court or in the classroom, whatever it is. So I really think it was just perspective and open-mindedness that allowed me to get here, and embracing all that God was putting in my path, and not looking at it as good or bad, just knowing that it's preparation for the opportunities that will present themselves, so.
Does it make you feel like your faith was almost like stamped by God to look back on some of these moments where you're saying, hey God, I don't know how we're going to make it, I don't know what we're doing, I don't know if I'm making the right decision, and then you reflect on it and say, wow, I wouldn't have met these people, I wouldn't have had these opportunities? Do you feel like those moments where you had to take a leap of faith, that at least some of them God has said, see, like I did have your best interest?
1,000%. And I think there's a saying by Will Smith where he said the greatest things in life are on the other side of fear. And I've just seen in my life that the moment I took that first leap of faith, like that real leap of faith where you don't see anything down there, but when you jump, that's when the net presents itself. You do it one time and you almost kind of look forward to the challenges and the struggles that life throws your way, because you understand that if you embrace it with an open mind, with some optimism and a lot of faith, that it can turn out to be the things that help you get to where you need to be in life, So, yeah, faith is just, I feel like to not have faith in your life is a very, very tough way to live. And I don't think faith is the things that you say, I think it's the things that you do. Because a lot of people can say, oh, this and that, but faith is actually, your character, how you walk, how you talk, how you treat people, and the decisions you make. And, they say your character is shown in times of discomfort and adversity. And I think that's really where your faith is tested.
Well, and I think, and it's a great point, because, I've thought about this before, no bad person's ever going to tell you that they're a bad person. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to tell you that they're a good person.
That's good, yeah.
So the actions are what show you, because who in their right mind would tell you that they're a bad person? And you mentioned Will Smith. There's the song Just the Two of Us that I have to say to myself all the time, a lot of it. One of the things, the biggest quote from that is, throughout life people will make you mad, disrespect you and treat you bad. Let God deal with the things they do, because hate in your heart will consume you too.
That's so good, yeah, that's yeah.
So you get up there to speak.
Wow, yeah.
Right? So Bob says, I can't think of anybody better. Mm-hmm. When he asked you to do that, when he said, I want you to speak at this D1 press conference, where were you? What were you doing? First reaction that you had?
Yeah, he told me to stop by his office, so I was walking to his office and he was already out here in the lobby, so I met with him. He told me what we were going to do is tomorrow at 12, and immediately a full wave of fear went over my body, because I don't really have a lot of experience with public speaking, but I know that it was something that I wanted to get into as far as getting out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And I did make a vow to myself that anything that does scare me, I'm going to do. Yeah. So the moment he asked me, that fear came over, and I knew that's exactly what I'm going to say yes. So I decided to do it. Obviously he gave me the night to come up with a speech and stuff like that, and it was just an amazing opportunity. I'm extremely blessed that he chose me.
What did, when you wrote that speech, what did you feel like you needed to convey? What were the things that you said to yourself as you prepared this speech? Like, I have to make sure that this message gets through. What was the message?
Yeah, I think I started with that mindset of like, oh, like, what do I say? How do I say it? And I kind of got into this like trying to be too perfect, and I kind of just took a step back and I was like, let me just speak from my heart and who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a big inspirational guy. I'm a big guy like when it comes to quotes and stuff. So when I just started writing, like the things just started to come out, and I just incorporated different things. And I think the biggest topic or the biggest subject in there that really stood out to me was just this idea of change, and how you can either embrace change or run away and be scared of change. And I think that this transition is extremely scary, but change is growth. And for us, I think it's just really important on our perspective and the openness and willingness to accept this change with an open heart and an open mind, and lean into that fear and lean into the unknown, knowing that on the other side of that can be bigger and better things for this school and us as individuals. So, yeah.
When they say that about the devil, is that the devil will literally tell you, like, you don't want to go around this corner because there's someone around this, and that's that fear. Like, you don't want to go here. And God is literally standing behind the devil with like a box, like a gift. And he's literally right there saying, if you could just get on the other side. And they always say, it's funny because people think, you know, like evil attacks you when you're weak, devil attacks you when you're weak. The devil attacks you when you're close to God. The devil attacks you when you're strong.
Yeah.
Like when God is about to bless you, he's like, he doesn't want you to do that, because then you get closer. And if you get closer, you believe more. And if you believe more and you build that relationship, the stronger your relationship is with God, the harder it is for anything else to break you.
Yes, sir.
And so I always picture that whenever something's scary, is like you're going around the corner and the devil's like, don't look around the corner, it's scary. And God is literally like, why wouldn't you look right? He's like looking at you like he's got this shining box, like, I want to give this to you, just walk around. And the fact that, you know, you put yourself out there and said, you know, we can embrace change or we can run from it. Change is inevitable. Change happens every day. So if you can't respond to it, you really can't grow. And it's funny how I went through most of my life saying, I can't stand the rain. But in order for a flower to grow, it needs sunshine and rain. Good times and pain, from a song that I remember. And so when you really sit back and you think about it, a flower cannot blossom, it cannot grow, it cannot evolve without the sunlight and the rain.
Yes, sir.
And how do we as people grow without the good days, the sunshine, but at the same time the adversity?
Absolutely.
How have you grown through adversity?
Well, I think that's when I've grown the most, honestly. I think I always like to use the analogy of like a sculpture, like, you know, like when you're beating at that rock and you're trying to make something beautiful out of it, like it has to go through a lot of hits and a lot of breaking down, but at the end when you step away you get a beautiful masterpiece. And I think in adversity, in times of adversity for me, like I've just seen how much I've been tested in so many areas. And, you know, there were a few times that, especially at the beginning of like that inner journey, as I like to call it, where you kind of like, you know, you want to cultivate a better relationship with yourself and a better relationship with God, where you do get tested in a lot of areas where it was extremely difficult for me. And I think the biggest thing that helped me get through that was just my perspective that life is happening for me, not to me, and there's always something in this for me to learn. And I don't even try to, I really don't like to label things as good or bad. In the moment, I just try to take it for what it is. Because I feel like for me, when I used to label things as bad automatically, I was cutting off like the possibility of it turning to something good.
Right.
So just embracing adversity, and obviously having an open mind and listening to the wisdom that people tell me, you know, whether it's people I watch on YouTube or podcast or my parents or mentors I have in my life telling me that adversity is part of growth, you know, like failure is part of success, and you're going to have to go through pain to get to where you want to be in life and become the best version of yourself. So just hearing all that and then cultivating that energy within me and knowing that, you know, it's happening for me, not to me, has really helped propel me through those times. And when you get through it and you look back, you're like, man, I needed to go through that to get to where I'm at today. So yeah, I really do embrace adversity, and like you said, change is inevitable, and a lot of times change is painful, but that's part of growth.
Well, it's funny though, because they call it growing pains. And we forget that as a kid, when your body would hurt in the middle of the night, it's because it was growing. And when you hurt in the middle of the night, it's because you're growing. Figuratively, literally. You talked about the sculpture, and you said you got to hit at it for a while to get somewhere. And like just like you as a person, you got to take those hits for that beautiful sculpture to arise. It also is the difference between being short-sighted and seeing the big picture. Because if you're right at the sculpture, hitting that one part on the sculpture, you can't see what it is, but you have to take a step back and see what you're creating. Because if you're just making the sculpture like this, you're hitting one little spot, how are you ever going to make what you're trying to make unless you see the big picture?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We got to do more stuff together because you're inspiring me. Right?
No, vice versa, man. Like, I feel like we have that connection, but yeah, you're absolutely right, man. It's all the journey, you know what I mean? It's like there is no set point on, all right, I've made it, or we're trying to get here. It's just a constant evolution and a constant cycle of learning, growing, putting it into action, going back through adversity, learning some more, growing some more, evolving more. You know, it's just a constant evolution, and you kind of fall in love with the process of life, you know, and it's a beautiful thing, really is.
It's funny, I call it like, I look at it like the Hulk now, where when people throw me into the fire, I used to be like, why am I getting burned? Wow. Now when people throw me into the fire, I literally get this grin on my face, and I keep getting bigger, and I'm looking at them going, you don't want me to get out of this fire, because I'm coming. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not going to hurt you, I'm going to use this toward the good. Absolutely. But it's like, why would you throw it? Like now when people throw me in, I'm like, wow, at this point, I just feel like you're dumb. Yeah. You know, like, I mean, you saw what happened last time. Why are you putting me back here again?
I feel you.
So, you know, you get that, like, I get that Hulk feeling where they wanted you to feel small. They wanted you to burn to death. Now, I use the fire. And now when you put me in the fire, I almost just like kind of like drink it in, you know, and spit it back out. And, I mean, you have to think about this too. When Jesus died, he didn't go to heaven. He went to hell and rose out of it. Even Jesus went to the fiery pits. Like he descended into hell before he ascended into heaven. So when you think about like the best of the best, God himself was like, I'm going to go down to this fire and I'm going to show you how I can put it out. Or just embrace it. And he took that fire, and instead of burning him, that fire became the like kind of rocket fuel to send him up. Like,
that's good.
How crazy is that?
That's great, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is great.
There's beauty in the panic. There's beauty in the strife. And I'm a firm believer that without adversity, nobody grows. Like, we can't be who we're meant to be. Do we like it? No. You know, does it feel good? No. But like you said, you fall in love with the process where after a while, when you get thrown into it, you're like, oh. So I'm about to, no matter what happens, I'm going to become better from this because I want to.
Absolutely.
So
it's all perspective.
It's like that first initial, like somebody threw me into something I didn't want to be in, but then you think about like what happened the last time.
Yes.
Because we all go through those things in life where we say, I'm not going to make it through. I'm not going to make it through. God, why'd you do this? I can't make it through this. I can't do this. I'm never going to get over this. And then you look back and you're like, that was 15 years ago.
Wow.
That was 3 months ago. How am I still alive? And it's because anything that you get put through in life, there's not a single thing you're going to go through that you can't get through. Your mind and other people's opinions of you and the world is what makes you think you can't.
Wow.
Devil already lost. And they say that. They're like, devil lost from the beginning of time because God is God. So how does the devil feel like it wins it all? It's to take as many souls as it can, to take as many family members as it can. So your mind, when you believe you can't, that's the only time that you're going to actually not do it. But when you believe you can, you got to think about this. There's God's voice, and then there's the voice of the world. Which one are you listening to? Because the voice of the world, you put it like this, I mean, we're sitting here right now at Ted Grant Court. So there's all these seats, right? But there's 10 men or women at any given time on the floor.
Yeah.
But there's all these seats. There's so many more seats in the crowd than there is people on the court. The people in the crowd all have opinions about the people on the court.
Yeah.
But the people on the court, as terrified as you are, as scared as you are, as tired as you are, as difficult as the game is, you're playing. Everybody else is talking about, if I was on the court, I'd play so much better. But in the game of life, are you on the court, or are you eating popcorn talking about everybody on the court?
Yes.
Because we care so much about what they say, but they're not here. And the people that are even on the court in front of you, they can't take from you who Isaiah Salter is unless you give it to them. They might make a shot over you. They might steal the ball from you. But can they take who you are? You might lose a game.
Yeah.
But if you learn from it, to take your words, did you lose anything?
Not at all.
Because what did adversity teach you today?
That's good. Yeah.
So I always say we focus on all these people.
Yeah, we do.
But they're just talking. And what do we say about talkers? Everybody says they're good at something. But how many people are actually playing the game?
Absolutely. Man.
So we're going D1.
Yeah.
What are you excited about?
Everything. To be honest, like, I'm just pretty blown away by that whole analogy. I feel really inspired right now. But no, I'm really just excited for just the opportunity that it brings. You know, like, regardless if we were D1 or D2, every season brings a new opportunity. But the fact that we are D1, we get to play better teams, do a little bit more travel, and have a little bit more experiences. I'm just extremely excited for the opportunity that we have as a whole program, that we have as a team, and yeah, I'm just excited for everything. Seriously, yeah.
Well, and the thing is, like you said, being excited about all that. The next time that you're playing a game on this court or any court or in practice, I want you to remember the voices that are all around here are never louder than the one inside.
That's good. Yeah.
That is the loudest voice you have. And that voice can work for you or work against you.
Absolutely.
But that's the only voice. That's the voice inside you. I tell people this all the time. Even identical twins are different. Their personalities are different. So if God made you, to be Isaiah Salter, there's no other exact identical copy of you. Then why would you let someone that's already living their life get to live two lives? Be greedy. And be Isaiah Salter. Be whoever you are that's watching and listening. And remember that the voice that you have inside of you is the only one allowed to speak to you. So yeah, other people have opinions. That's great. And sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. But the voice that lives inside you that God put in you, that little voice, if you don't let it sing and you don't let it speak, then what are you living for? What are you living toward? Who are you living for, if not for the person that you are? You are amazing. And it's beyond wins and losses. It's beyond money. It's beyond viewership and this, that, and whatever. If you truly love yourself and you give everything you have, you don't fail. And I feel like we need to understand in a world that needs love for mental health, and people committing suicide, and people searching for identity. If you really want to get to the bottom of it, ask yourself the question, am I hearing my voice, or am I hearing everybody else's? Because their voices are going to change. But you have to take care of the one inside of you, and it's so hard. But you should never be ashamed to ask for help, and you should never quiet that voice, because your individual, distinct voice that God gave you, the note that it sings, without that note is like without a key on a piano. Without one single note, without one single key that God gave, we can't play the whole song. So if you're not yourself, you're taking that key out of the world. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow.
But it's people like you that taught me that.
That's good.
But
Seriously, man.
people like you taught me that.
Appreciate
It goes
you.
beyond
Seriously.
games, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, D1 is cool, but it's the people. I'm here because of the people. I love LeMoyne, and they make me feel like a Dolphin every day because of the people. I have to remind myself, like, did I go here? Like, am I a student here right now? But it's because of the people.
Dang.
Right? You can't control who's on the court against you. Right? But when you're out there with your brothers and your sisters, when you're out there with your family, when you have the opportunity to control who you break bread with, who you sit with, who you talk to, you got to be really purposeful with your voice and with your time. And to just remember, like, every step, every moment, it's a beautiful thing, because most of the people on this planet will only go as far as their seat on their ticket.
Wow.
Some of us are scared enough, but courageous enough to go into the fire, grab the basketball, and play the game.
Absolutely.
Love you, brother.
Yo, love you too. That was, thank you so much for that. Seriously, that was,
Thank you.
Yeah. Dang. Still recording. Wow. That was,
The road to D1
yes, sir.
is so much more than that. Come and support all the student athletes like Isaiah Salter, all the coaches, all of the sports, the student body, and the school itself. Because LeMoyne is so much more than wins and losses. And Dolphins, no matter how tough the day is, they always put their fins up and they always keep swimming.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, man.
Yo, appreciate you too, man. My God.
We'll talk with you all soon.
Absolutely.
This is Wake Up Call, and this is Dolphin Dive. So remember, everybody, no matter what, always believe in yourself. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful, wonderful week as we continue on in June. By the way, I want to wish you all a very happy summer as we've made it. It's June 21st. The summer solstice is upon us. It is officially summer today. So, happy summer to everybody, and a very happy birthday to the man, the myth, the legend, the Go-So, the PJ, the Papa Joe. Papa Joe's birthday today, June 21st. So, big time happy birthday to the just amazing, incredible father figure. It's like another dad to me in my life. I got my dad and I have PJ, and I feel very blessed and very honored and humbled by that. So, happy birthday, Papa Joe. He's going to be on the show with us tomorrow, so we have the opportunity to speak with PJ tomorrow, which I'm really, really excited to do, and I can't wait for that. So we're going to have a good time with Papa Joe, as we always do on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So today, also, with it being June 21st, so it's the summer solstice, it's Papa Joe's birthday, and at 3 p.m. Eastern Time today, I will be unveiling something huge, not just for Wake Up Call, but for Superpowered Pop, Do Diz with Dan, Comic Book Trails, Two Mics No Filter, and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media as a whole. There is something coming today at 3 o'clock, and I'm so excited. And I tell you all the time that God comes to me in numbers, and he always helps me to kind of see little blessings and in numbers. And my number's 21. My grandfather, my Papa Cavino's number is 13. So I will see, I think on LinkedIn right now, I have 1,321 connections. And I found that funny. So I see 1321, 2113. I'll see 21 a lot. I'll see my birthday 1021. And what I see more and more of as the years have gone by is my number and my grandfather's number bonded, which is 213, 2113, 213. And so today That's why the special news that's coming up today, that's why it's happening when it's happening. Wednesday, June 21st, so 21 at 3 o'clock. So 213. That's why I did it and owed back to my family, my pop, and, really to both of my grandfathers and to all my grandpas, because I do have an adopted grandpa, and then I have another person in my life that, I got to meet through who I was dating and I was with, and so, he became another grandfather to me as well. So I, and to my grandmas, to G Mama, to Gammy, and it's an ode to, my mom and my dad, to those that, to my friends, my true friends, the people that have been there for me, fought for me. And what do they say? The people that defend you in rooms that you're never in. So, for all of them, this is a big moment for all of us. This is a team effort. This is a community thing. And it's huge. And I get to do it with a good friend. And that makes it even more special. So I'm really excited for what we get to unveil to you today. I've given little pieces, little tidbits, little moments where I've kind of, said something or whatever. But today at 3 o'clock, Wednesday, June 21st at 3 p.m., I will be unveiling something that my company has never had. And it was a hope. It was a desire. It's been talked about for a couple years. People have asked about it. People have wanted it. I've wanted it. And it was just about finding the right fit, which we did, and about finding the right people, which we did, and the right things to kind of put it all together. So I'm really excited today at 3 o'clock. I get to unveil it. I'm super impatient about it. So I have about 5 hours to keep my lips zipped still. And then at 3 o'clock, I get to tell you. So I'm really, really excited about it. And I hope you all are on all of our social media for it, because it's going to be on everything. It's going to be on Facebook. Well, let me say it like this. It's going to be on Wake Up Call's social media. So Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. It's going to be on Superpowered Pop's social media, which on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Superpowered Pop. It's going to be on Comic Book Trails on Facebook and Instagram at Comic Book Trails. It's going to be on Do Diz with Dan, which is on Instagram and Facebook at Do Diz with Dan. It's going to be on Two Mics No Filter on Instagram and Facebook at Two Mics No Filter. So, and it's going to be on my personal page on Facebook, and it'll be on our stories. And like I said, it'll be on Twitter at Call DT. So don't miss it. Today, Wednesday, June 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. 213. Big old news. Really excited about it. And I still can't believe it. Like, it's so surreal to me. And I'm beyond excited about it. I really am. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy about it. And I can't wait to share it with the world. It's going to be awesome. And I really can't say anymore because anything that I've thought in my head to say kind of lets you know what it is. So I can't do that. But I would love to tell you soon. I will tell you soon. And 3 o'clock today, Wednesday, June 21st, I get to share it with you. So I'm super, super pumped about it. And yeah, it'll be fun. And we've been working on it for a long time. I think we've been working on this specifically for over a year. And then I've been working on this and wanting to do this for over 2 years. So it's coming. It's coming. It took a lot of time, and I just can't wait. So excited for it. Excited to share it with you. A lot of great stuff coming up. How about Isaiah Salter? Before we have Joe Tesori on the show, let me just say this. Like, Isaiah, wow. Just a great person. I'm not going to say a great young man. I'm not going to say a great student athlete. I'm going to say a great human being in society. He's just been very, very helpful in so many things. And I don't even think that he knows that, right? Just the passion that he has. And I love that. I mean, we did one interview And I saw him at a game, because I'll go to a bunch of the men's and women's doubleheaders, for basketball and whatnot, and try to get out and see all these sports, and at LeMoyne, of course. And he sees me at the game, and he's talking to somebody, and then he just looks at me and he goes, "My guy," and that was it. And it was like, after one conversation, after one interview, he felt that connection and he felt that bond. And that's what Wake Up Call is all about, right? It's about that connection. It's about that bond. It's about just being different, right? In the best of ways, and being unique, being original in a world that's constantly copying things and regurgitating them. Being original, being different, being honest, being fruitful, meaning that you're seeking to have conversations and say things and do things that are going to have a ripple effect that can bear fruit. That's, God talks about that all the time. When Jesus is on the road and he walks by you, if you're a tree, are you a tree that is bearing fruit? Or are you a tree that, is bare? When Jesus comes to pass you, do you have fruit for him to eat of your tree, or is your tree dried up? Is there nothing there? And Isaiah is a great example of being a tree that is working to bear fruit and to help others. And I can name players all throughout, student athletes and coaches all throughout LeMoyne, that have had such an incredible effect on me in a positive way. And so as we get ready from one LeMoyne conversation to another, it's just important for me to say thank you to Bob Beretta for seeing something in me that, I know is there. And you fight to, you always hope that people see you for who you really are. And I just want to thank Bob for seeing me for who I am and for appreciating that. Human beings, we want to connect and we want to build those bridges and to just find places of refuge, right? Places where you feel good and you feel appreciated and you feel welcome. And LeMoyne has done that for me. President Dr. Linda Lemura, I don't know if people give hugs like her. I don't think they do. I've been on this earth for 37 years, and I can't say, a Linda hug is kind of like this hug. No, I don't think it is. And just the positivity. How many presidents are at your games and getting involved and really wanting to know you? And then athletics directors, I told Bob from the beginning, I hope you understand that there's a lot of athletic directors out there that don't act like you. And it was a compliment, for the things that Bob feels like he needs to be at every game, every meet, every, match, everything. And he works hard to do that. And I respect that. And then you see Isaiah, and he's on Nate Champion's team, and Nate is a champion. If you, I know he'd probably laugh if you heard me say that, but if you get to meet him and you get to be around him, Nate is a special person. And then you look at Mary Grimes on the other side, and she's a special person. And gosh darn it, she works her tail off. And I love that. I love that passion. I love that passion, and I love that energy. So there's so many things that, we could take away just by looking in, one place or two places, but there's so many things at LeMoyne on the Heights that we can look to.
Recording in progress.
And
Recording
I mentioned,
stopped.
Basketball because that's what we're taught, that's who we've been talking to here this morning, but we're about to talk with golf, and we're about to have that experience. And I'm so excited for that, to have that and to share that with everybody. So there's so much good to be had in our community, and having this exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne, and having the exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, and all these things that we're doing, there's a purpose to that. There's a reason for that. and I look forward to continuing to sharing why with you. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, the Road to D1 series in Dolphin Dive continues on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the LeMoyne College Dolphins, as Joe Tesori joins me of the LeMoyne men's and women's golf team as their head coach right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
I wouldn't have known how to do that.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you where sports meets that thing called life, and appreciate you as always for joining us on the broadcast every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we're working here to have Joe Tesori joining us here inside of our continuation of the Road to D1 series. So we're hoping to have Joe here on video momentarily as we can get him all set up and ready to go. And definitely looking forward to talking with him today about this Road to D1 for the LeMoyne College Dolphins. So looking forward to having Joe here on the broadcast, and we get set here in the Road to D1 continuation.
There I am.
And there he is, Joe Tesori here. The Road to D1 series that we have here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora exclusively in our multimedia marketing partnership with the LeMoyne College Dolphins. LeMoyne men's and women's golf head coach Joe Tesori is here with us this morning. Joe, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
And I'm happy to do this. I think, have we made history in this being a live Zoom on a sports broadcast? Is this a first for you?
Every day I talk to my daughter, she doesn't understand how I even exist in this world that we live in. This is history for me. Yes, we have history here.
So, what do you think she'll say seeing you on a video and it's actually working and we're doing this thing? What do you think your daughter would say?
Who helped you with this? Because I know you can't do this yourself, and I had a lot of help.
Well, we're happy to have you here, Joe, and I know we've been setting this up for a little bit now. So, first and foremost, congratulations on the move to Division One and bringing your programs in for men's and women's golf. How do you feel about it?
Well, we're excited about it. Obviously, it's certainly taken us to a whole new uncharted grounds for the golf. I mean, women's lacrosse and men's baseball used to be D1 and the MAC maybe 18, 19 years ago. But this is new for us. It's, it's somewhat like there's a lot of questions, and it's going to be very challenging. But as I told all the boys and the women, every challenge brings opportunities that you didn't even knew existed. So, we're in the process of putting the schedule together. That's coming along. It's tough because we got a late start for the fall season. But as you know, last week, the Northeast Conference announced that we would be eligible to play in postseason in their league championships, not the NCAA's. But that was an early Christmas gift for us. We just, we didn't know that, and that was great. So that gave us a little more inspiration.
Yeah, and you bring that up, the opportunity, almost a week ago, a little less than a week ago, because coming in last Thursday that we found the news that the NEC had done away with any postseason hiatus. And when I spoke with athletics director at LeMoyne, Bob Beretta, in our segment AD and DT, he had told me right after the decision to go to D1 that he had requested to the NEC that they do away with this, that there is not a 2-year hiatus, that there was no years, that every school, or every team, I should say, that's inside of the NEC, outside of men's lacrosse, that's playing independent this coming season, that they would have immediate eligibility. So we had been talking about it way back. What does it mean to you that it's happened? Like you said, it's an early Christmas gift, but to know you have a leader in athletics director Bob Beretta that was very clear and publicly saying, I've asked the NEC to take it away.
Somebody asked me that the other day, and I could say, well, certainly we're grateful to Bob. That's number one. But I said it was sort of like the deal a couple of weeks ago with the PGA Tour and LIV and the DP Tour, that if you look down the road, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
But nobody knew about it. And I certainly wasn't in the room. But these leaders of those tours were working to get a resolution and to make something better.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything. I certainly didn't know anything about any talks or any decision that Bob and the committee had made or were talking about. And I'm sure he couldn't say anything because if it didn't happen. So when it did happen, I mean, I was shocked. And I called our 2 seniors, told them, I said, I can't type fast enough to put this on our little chat. But let everybody know. And then I called the players and talked to them, and called our last year's women's captain, Megan McKean, and had her get a hold of the girls. It was great. So I mean, I'm just eternally grateful for that. It just changes everything, because to get recruits in and to say, you know, we're not eligible for 2 years in the league, and right now it's 4 with NCAA. I mean, come here to LeMoyne, you got me. You know, that's not a big selling point, but this is big, and so it was great that was taken care of.
Yeah, you know, I definitely agree, and a beautiful thing, and something that I was so excited about, and I got the news, and I was, you know, preparing to release it and everything, and I mean, I couldn't tell anybody, and I was just sitting there so elated and so happy for all the student athletes, for all the coaches, for, you know, obviously alumni and the whole school in general. I mean, awesome to be immediately eligible, immediately have a postseason, to know that you're playing towards something is important, and it's crucial. And it's, you know, they talk about the mental health side of things, and, you know, just getting the experience. These students have had so much taken away from them, from the pandemic to all these other things that have happened over these last few years. And unfortunately, if you're in high school or college in the last 4 years, you've had a very unique experience in a very adverse way. And so to get this good news, I think, is huge. Joe Tesori here with us. So the road to D1, LeMoyne men's and women's golf head coach. There's a lot of places for me to jump into. You just brought it up, so I got to get your thoughts on this, because we've been talking about it on the show. It's funny how before it happened, we were discussing, like, is there a world, like, could we see PGA and the Live come together? I mean, is there a way for this to bond? And then all of a sudden you hear about the merger and it's happening. What are your thoughts on it? Because it's multi-layered. There's people in the government that are looking at this because it's Saudi Arabia and the United States. You know, is it safe? Is it national security? Does it make sense? I mean, this is a unique merger, and the DP Tour and all that. How do you view it, Joe, as someone who has played golf for many, many years, coached it for many years? Obviously, you love it. So PGA, LIV, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I'd have to say that I'm not a fan of what the LIV was.
Okay.
And is. I think that golf being 72 holes with a cut is what we know. I don't like guaranteed money. I think that makes a softer, competitive arena. But there are those, as a boss of mine years and years ago said, when the first person showed up on the tee with his hat backwards, and I almost died. And he said, Joe, the world is changing. You've got to, you know. So golf, I think, in many ways had to lighten up. We've lightened up and got it right with expanding tee times for, you know, there was days when I first got in the business that women couldn't play until like 1 o'clock on weekdays and on weekends. And so we've come a long way. We have a long ways to go, but we have come a long way. So what Liv did, and when these names went there, that sort of shocked all of us. I was shocked. I wasn't so shocked with some of them, and some had good reasons. DJ had a good reason. He just wanted to ride into the sunset, and Koepka was injured. Phil won his PGA and at age 50 something, and that was phenomenal. DeChambeau, you know, won his Open. I was shocked when Cam Smith went. I just thought he had so much to offer the tour. I'm not inside boardrooms. I don't know what the tour. I know the tour has things that they haven't done totally correct either. They had to get together. Nobody was winners in this, despite what, maybe Norman was saying. The Live wasn't the winners. The tour wasn't the winners. And the people watching golf weren't the winners. We had a divided setup. So I didn't realize it was going to happen this soon.
Yeah.
And none of the players knew that. So the secretness of it all, I think, really shocked us. 10 years from now, 5 years from now, when they figure out what they're going to be doing, it's going to be better. As for the Saudis, hey, I'm not running for office. I don't even know that I have a comment on that. Golf is a microcosm of life. There's a lot of things that go on that you can't control. You get knocked down, you got to get back up.
Yeah.
Politics, the world situation, that's the world we live in. So let's just try to get together and let's move on. Golf is such a great sport, and these are greater minds than me, and we'll get it. We'll get it where it's supposed to be. It might not be next year. It might not be the year after, but I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. I mean, obviously, you hope that, when the Live came up and did what they did and were trying different things and doing golf differently, that it was almost like, and this happens with leagues with the NFL. When a league comes up and the USFL comes out, or the XFL, they're testing things that people might want to see in the NFL. And the same thing with Live is, they kind of push and say, okay, PGA, we feel like you're getting outdated. We want you to do this. We want you to try this. And so you see sometimes that merger happening, or that connection happening, coming after once somebody is willing to go out there and try things a little bit differently. So we just had the U.S. Open, and we saw Fowler just kind of fall apart down the stretch, and Scheffler had a bad last day. And, I remember, and I'll never forget this, my dad looked at me because, a lot of people didn't know a lot about Wyndham Clark, and my dad looked at me and he goes, "Who names their kid after a hotel?" And and he was hoping that I think he was going for Fowler or Rory. So, when you see, what Koepka's done recently, there's different people that have kind of come onto the scene, and people that you don't necessarily expect. What do you think about Wyndham Clark and what he did at the U.S. Open?
Well, the whole story of Wyndham Clark is great. We've all had people in our lives pass away. He had his mom pass away. That was a kick in his stomach. He was angry. He was a good player. He played good at Oklahoma State the first year. Not as good as he wanted to. Was not fun to be around. Was not the best playing partner. Probably not the best teammate. Went to had a great coach there, Mike McGraw. I know him. He's legendary. He's a great coach, a great manager of people, and told Wyndham, you might want to just back off a year.
Yeah.
Goes to Casey Martin at University of Oregon, a person with that pushed the needle with the PGA Tour and USGA, the ability to ride. A great spokesman for golf. And then he gets on tour rather quickly. And again, he's not the most well thought of because of the way he acted.
Yeah.
But he had lost his game. He was good enough to get on the tour, but he wasn't, a household name. And then he had to make some hard decisions, and he did. And it was a great story. And he clearly played better than anybody else. That last day was U.S. Open golf. I mean, there were shots that we didn't expect to see. I think one of the best things about the PGA Tour and the Korn Ferry and the Latin America Tour, but once you get on there, I mean, we have a local here, Kevin Roy. I mean, Kevin is a rookie on the PGA Tour. He's not a child. I mean, he's in his early 30s, I believe. And he's a great player.
Yeah.
Those are the stories that we like just as much as Rory McIlroy or Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus winning tournaments. We're a country where we love to see the underdogs. I mean, unless you grew up like in the Yankees or the New England Patriots, we like to see somebody come that had a losing season and then win. And I'm not in favor of the PGA Tour making these exempt, half a dozen or so exempt tournaments next year with no cuts. That just rubs me the wrong way. I don't like it. I like to see cuts. I like to see guys fighting for cuts.
Yeah.
And I like to see guys that are hanging on, hoping they can stay on tour and making it. Wyndham Clark was a great story. Ricky Fowler would have been a great story. Rory McIlroy would have been a great story. Scheffler coming from behind was a great story. It was a great event. I loved it.
Coming here from Joe Tesori, and to connect with the PGA even more so, I'm going to read these off. Joe Tesori is a member of the PGA National Hall of Fame, 2017, where he was inducted. Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, inducted in 2013. Central New York PGA Hall of Fame, 2002. And the LeMoyne College Gold Wave Hall of Fame in 1990. When I read all those off, PGA National Hall of Fame, Central New York PGA Hall of Fame, Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, LeMoyne College's Hall of Fame, which is called the Gold Wave. What does that mean to you to hear you being a part of all of these Hall of Fames? And the second part of the question, Joe, is, are there any more Hall of Fames that you can get into?
I'm upset that the Italian American Sports Hall of Fame hasn't knocked on my door. I think I belong in there. What does it mean to me? I mean, when Tommy Nyland, the original athletic director at LeMoyne, called me years ago, 30-something, and told me that I was in the LeMoyne Hall of Fame, I couldn't even make any sense of it. My parents were alive then, and that meant a lot to me. And I remember in my speech saying that the only 3s and 4s that I ever got in college weren't with my GPA, but were on scorecards, golf scorecards. I wasn't the greatest student in the world, but I love my LeMoyne education. I love what LeMoyne did for me. The Central New York PGA, I mean, that's the only PGA section I've been a member of. That was amazing. The Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame was another step. I mean, to get inducted with great athletes, male, female, and other sports was amazing. to get elected into the PGA National Hall of Fame, I just don't even understand that. It's not why we do what we do. We do what we do because we have passion.
Yeah.
And I guess if you hang around long enough and you make enough people smile and you make enough people enjoy the game, and you're somewhat of a foot soldier for equality of men and women, minorities, which I have been forever, I guess people take notice, and then when there's a slow year, they get you in their Hall of Fame. I'm humbled. I mean, that's all I can say.
You know, and I know, like you said, I mean, you're humbled by it and a humble response, but, you know, obviously deserving of that and deserving of that moment, those moments, many moments. You know, you just said that if you're a foot soldier for equality for everybody, for men and women, for minorities, and you said it's always been a part of your life. Why, and I can equal you on that since I was a kid. I mean, I tell a story, I told it yesterday, on my grandmother's street, my dad's parents, on my grandma's street, because my grandpa had passed away, I wanted to play basketball. Love basketball my whole life. And I was like 7 years old, maybe. And there was one house on the whole block that was an African-American family. And there's two brothers. And, you know, they would be outside. They put up a basketball hoop. My grandma didn't have one. And I always wanted to play. And so, you know, one day the guys were like, hey, you want to play? And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah. And we started playing. And I remember that there was a car that drove by. And we're talking like this is the 90s. This isn't like the 50s. And there's a car that drove by. I'll never forget. It was a brown car, one guy in the car. And it slowed down, stopped, looked at us like there was something weird that I was playing with them. And I just remember saying to myself, they're the only people on the entire block that ever asked me to play. And I never saw color. I just saw nice people versus not nice people. People that are open versus people that are closed. People that say, hey, why don't you come over and, you know, meet my family, or, you know, we're doing a barbecue, why don't you come over for that, versus people that shut their doors and lock them. So I don't know anything other than equality because it's always meant something to me. Why has it meant something to you?
As an adopted human, I always felt that I was special, that I had a man and a woman who had a child and who back in the 40s couldn't keep him, did the right thing, went to Catholic Charities, and two people who couldn't have children selected me. Without a doubt, I mean, I know what Lou Gehrig said, but without a doubt, I was the luckiest man on the face of the earth. And that in Cortland, New York, where his dad came from Italy and taught Italian Americans how to speak the English language. And my dad got into caddying with his two brothers, Cortland Country Club, and were loved and got into the game. And then when it came time for him to maybe join, he wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
Now, again, this is the 1930s and 1940s. And he didn't understand it. I could caddy here. I can play on Mondays here. But now when I have a job, I'm married, they don't let me join. He wasn't bitter, but I always remember him saying, I just never understood that. And I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And when I went to Drumlin's as a golf professional in 81, I had two great mentors. I had Eric Dan, God rest his soul, and Peter Weber. And they said, we have a public course and we have a private course. And everybody is welcome to play here. And it was the greatest job in the entire universe. I was the first one to hire a black assistant. I was the first one in the area to hire a woman as a professional. We actually at one time had 2 women as professionals. No one else in the area had any. My rangers were all types of people from all types of socioeconomic conditions. Golf was great. It was America. It was what it's supposed to be. And I never understood not letting people in because of religion, because of color. I just never got it. And thank God that I was adopted. Thank God that I felt wanted by 4 people, but 2 couldn't keep me. And that sort of spurred me on. A little interesting sidelight is when I got inducted into the PGA Hall of Fame, it was in Austin, Texas. That day was National Adoption Day. And I remember giving that in my little talk with up on the podium. So I've been lucky, and I want other people to feel the love. Say, that's what spurns me on.
Yeah, and it's I love, you know, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm getting tears in my eyes. And you say all of those things, and then you say, I got inducted on National Adoption Day. And I always, and I tell people, there are people listening to the show, watch the show, believe in God, don't believe in God, somewhere in the middle. And I welcome everybody. I believe in God. I always have, I always will. Those moments, those God incidences, I don't believe in coincidences, that you get inducted into the PGA National Hall of Fame on National Adoption Day. And that entire story of how you got started in feeling wanted and feeling loved has spurned how you want others to feel wanted and feel loved. And then on National Adoption Day, the PGA National Hall of Fame says you are wanted and you are loved by us, and we see what you've done. I mean, that sounds like a movie, Joe.
Dan, there's a part of this story about adoption that we don't have enough time to go into, but 37 years ago, by a mere coincidence, I met my birth parents and 5 sisters who I didn't even know I had. I wasn't looking for them. They weren't looking for me. And it happened on April Fool's Day, 1986, I believe it was. Yeah. So my life took another turn. Yeah. And I mean, when my daughter was in 7th grade at Jamesville DeWitt, I wanted her to play softball. For whatever reason, she chose golf. She was good in both of them. They didn't have a girls' golf team. Bill Brown was the athletic director. He says, we don't have a girls' golf team. She can play on the boys. I said, that's great, Bill, but she's not a boy. What can we do here? We ended up, I did a lot of legwork. Buddy Waklinski at CBA said, why don't we just join up? You don't have to be a teacher. So I taught CBA JD for 4 years. I think we won 4 sectionals. They split us up, and I became a paid golf coach at JD. When I took the job at LeMoyne, my good friend Dick Rockwell was the AD. I said, Rock, I'd love to be the men's golf course coach at my alma mater, but we got to get a women's team.
Yeah.
Well, I can't pay you. I said, for what you're paying me to be the men's coach, it really doesn't make that much difference. I said, that's how the women's team got started at LeMoyne. It wasn't any great executive board decision. It was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And thank God that most of the decisions I've made in life have been pretty decent ones. I've made a lot of bad ones too, but I've made a lot of bogeys, and let's come back with a birdie. Equality is a birdie. And I'm going to go to the green, verdant course in the sky proclaiming that everybody should have a chance. And that's the MO. That's what I got. And I'm pretty happy about that.
And you should be. And a final note, because we will obviously open up more and do more, and I'd love to have you back and really dig into, like you said, what we don't have time maybe today to open up, but would love to do that. And well, I mean, I always have time, and you're always welcome. And I guess the final note for today is going into year 16 as the head coach of the men's team and year 3 with the women's team now. What is your vision and hope? And as you're stepping into history again. You're going to be a Division I coach in men's golf, a Division I coach in women's golf. You're joining the NEC, the Northeast Conference. This is another piece of history. And I believe that good people don't stumble upon good opportunities. I believe good opportunities come to good people. And I had somebody say to me before that luck is labor under correct knowledge. So there's something to be said about why people that are good people always seem to be lucky, quote unquote. So as you are lucky once more on purpose, what are you most excited about as you carry both of these teams into the NEC?
I'm excited for the student athletes that we have at LeMoyne. This hasn't been an easy transition for them.
Yeah.
That this isn't what they signed up for. But what we have to keep proclaiming is that this is a challenge.
Yeah.
It was tough for every one of our teams at LeMoyne this year that were in the NCAA. That the week that the NCAA regionals started for all of us was the week that we found out we were going to the NEC. And many of our boys realized that this was their last chance. That's a pressure they didn't sign up for.
Yeah.
And we didn't do real well with that. But they learned. What we have to tell people is that this is a huge challenge for LeMoyne College. But as I said in the beginning, it presents us with an opportunity. You're now a Division I athlete. You're going to be expected to do a lot more. I'm going to be expected to do a lot more. My assistants are going to be expected to do a lot more because we got greater. I mean, LeMoyne is on the heights. It's LeMoyne Heights. We have many heights to climb. And it's not like we've played a soft schedule. I mean, we go to Barry University, national champions 7 times. We go to Rollins College in Orlando. We've played at Villanova. We've played at Navy. We've played at Colgate. I mean, Dolphins don't back down from things. We've always stretched our limits. So when it came time for postseason, we were ready. We're going to be ready next spring. What happens? if coaching doesn't get in the way, we have good kids that'll meet the challenge. We've got a couple of good kids coming in on the boys' side. We've got two really good girls coming in. Recruiting is a whole different thing now. I mean, we're getting more and more kids calling us. I'm on the recruiting trail more than I've ever been. I enjoy watching golf. I'm heading down to Corning next week for the women's. A couple of weeks after that, Lake Placid. A couple of weeks after that, down at Waikato for the men's AM. It's watching golf. It's assessing talent and preaching what we have to offer at LeMoyne. It's a great school. I love LeMoyne, and this Division I it's going to be all right. We're gonna have some bumps. Scheduling has been tough. I know all the coaches are having a little difficulty with that, but it's nobody said it was going to be easy. Yeah. Golf looks like it's a pretty easy game, but it isn't. So we'll be fine. And I'm blessed to be there. I love my student athletes, the boys, the girls. And I'm looking forward to getting going when they get back in August, because we got some work to do, and they know it. And now we all know it.
And coming off of that, LeMoyne has been so special. You've so eloquently put that this morning, and when you've been on before. I know that, to me, as I step into year 3 of working with LeMoyne, there's something about LeMoyne that is different in a beautiful way. How does LeMoyne stay LeMoyne in this move to Division I? How does LeMoyne continue to be the LeMoyne that we love it to be?
One of the little mantras that LeMoyne has is excellence with integrity. LeMoyne's a great academic school. We have great athletes. I mean, year in and year out, we are one of the better teams in almost every sport. We're about leadership. We're about serving those that need us at churches and the homeless and, Special Olympics. I mean, all of us volunteer our service for that. Francis House. We love our neighbor. Our neighbor might be our enemy, but we love our neighbors. We're spiritual beings who seek and embrace the sacred. Everyone, we embrace them. We seek out challenges. We might lose, we might win, but we embrace that challenge, that opportunity. And one of the things that LeMoyne always talks about is be the change. Be the change. Don't wait for it. Be the change. Well, we weren't waiting for this. It was a 1.5 year transition. We didn't know that it was going to happen when it happened. But we're going to change in our own little way the NEC. We're the new kid on the block. We've played against these teams. Some of these teams I played against when I was at LeMoyne in the 60s and 70s. We played against some of these teams in the old Middle Eastern Catholic College Association, Mecca. So it's a return to some of our roots. Good academic institutions. One of the first teams to invite us to play, our women's team, was Howard University. How lucky can we be? You know, we're ready. We're all in. We're all one, and we're all Dolphins. Here we go. It's time.
Joe Tesori, LeMoyne Dolphins men's and women's head coach for the golf teams. Joe, honestly, like, I could sit and listen to you all day. I feel like you should run for office. I think we need it. But, you know, I really do look forward to us continuing to, you know, build our bond and our connection. In the couple times that you've been on the show, you're such a breath of fresh air and inspiration. And I feel like you should know that and appreciate that. And I would love to continue to tell your story and to spend time with you and with your teams, because I'm ready to, you know, really be around people like yourself. And I'm not the type of person to sit and look at the world and say it's bad, it's bad, and then go to bed. I'm the type of person to say, okay, what's not going well? How do we fix it? How do we make it better? And we're cut from the same cloth in that respect. And so, I mean, I don't know how to bid you adieu today, because like I said, I love everything you're saying and I want you to keep saying it. But I definitely look forward to talking with you. And I thank you so much for being so open about your life and your feelings and your thoughts. And I'm just happy that we're spoiled enough to have you in our community.
I appreciate those words. I love coming on. I won't say that I mean, this technology is like old hat to you guys. I mean, it's like I said, my daughter says, Dad, how do you even get through life? And I said, you know, I grew up my first 5 years on a farm where we had like the phones that you rang, you know, with a handle.
Yeah.
But I guess I got here today, so that's good. And thanks for having me. I love it. I love what you're doing, and I'm going to keep doing what I do.
Well,
let's both keep doing what we do.
Agreed. You have my word on that.
All right.
I look forward to talking with you soon, Joe. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
All right. Anytime. Take care.
All righty.
Coming once again from Joe Tesori here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We made history. He did it. We got him on. I love it. And we will be back momentarily here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. For those of you that have been very patient for Nick Moore coming onto the show, we appreciate your patience. And we will have Nick Moore on the broadcast. As he comes on to Wake Up Call, he will be returning to familiar digs with the Binghamton University women's basketball team. I know Beth Ann is pumped,
in progress.
the head coach, and I'm pumped to be able to share Nick's story. And again, I can't thank enough the amazing, amazing Joe Tesori. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with Nick Moore, where sports meets life. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on Go Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you where sports meets life every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, we'll spend some extra time with you here this morning as we get set to bring in a very special guest, and that being Mr. Nick Moore, who's going to be joining us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora where sports meets life. We have Nick picture-in-picture with us. He has returned to Binghamton University. He was at Medaille College as their women's basketball head coach after being at Binghamton with Beth Ann Shapiro-Ord. Now he's back with Binghamton women's basketball as an assistant coach, as well as helping in recruiting and being the defensive coordinator, the defensive mind on the coaching staff. So with that being said, Nick Moore is back. What? I'm excited. How are you, Nick?
I am great. I'm great, Dan. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So, interesting scenario. Medaille College, like Cazenovia here, very unfortunately, made the decision to close. And how did you navigate through all of that? I mean, it's such a unique situation.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of those things where, like a lot of small private schools across the country right now, enrollment's down. COVID had a lot to do with that, but it really affected everything financially. So as we were going through the year, there was a lot of conversations and talks about us merging with another institution in Buffalo that would kind of help solve some of those financial issues that we were all having. And then when that merger kind of fell through this past, basically a month ago, we all knew that was probably the end of us, unfortunately. So weird times. I mean, I think there's no one's really writing a script on that one, how you navigate that. But luckily I was able to find places for most of my players at the time to transfer and help them through that process and getting them a new home for this upcoming season.
Yeah. And in doing that, and trying to find a home for all of your student athletes, just what you can, to go into that a little bit deeper, because, some coaches would be like, all right, well, Medaille's closing, I'm out. And you wanted to find homes. It really shows your dedication and your commitment. It shows that you care. It shows that you're not just in it for yourself and wins and losses. So why be that way? And just bring me into that. The fact that you were trying to make sure that your student athletes were taken care of, even though they weren't going to be with you.
Yeah, I think for me, it was a special group. Like, I had been an assistant coach for 13 years, and that was my first opportunity as head coach, right? So, and I got hired late. So I got hired in August, and the group that they had returning was the group that we were rolling with, and there was not a chance to recruit and bring anybody in. And, I feel like the bond that we built that year, we had a lot of ups and downs. There was a point in the season where last 2 games of the year, we took a bus to Keuka and Utica with 5 kids. Yeah. And we dressed and played 5, no subs. And part of it was injury, part of it was sickness, part of it was just that kind of the team we had. But I feel like things like that really grew us a lot closer throughout the season. So when things went down the way they went down, my first thought was, well, how can I help these kids? Like I knew back in my mind, I'd figure things out for myself, and ultimately it worked out great because here I am. But for me, I knew that they don't know and wouldn't know how to navigate that, right? So
Yeah.
I kind of wish they were still on campus when that all went down, because we were doing it all via FaceTime and Zoom and that kind of stuff. But luckily, they were really supportive of me through the whole situation. The one thing I always, said every time I talked to one of them about, okay, here's some schools you might be interested in. This coach has reached out to me about you, that kind of thing. They always ended the conversation with, well, what about you, coach? Like, what are you going to do? And to me, that just showed that was that mutual, kind of love we had for each other. So it was a no-brainer as I went through it, that was goal number one. Find them a home and make sure that they're set and ready to go. And then, myself from there.
How important is it for you, Nick, to the people that you're coaching, that you want to believe in your vision and your mission, when they needed somebody through this process of Medaille closing, that you were still there for them, that you continue to look out for them? Because coaches, right, they want to get you together, they want to win games, they want you to believe, but your belief in them and your faith in them and your want for them to have happy and fruitful present and future in their life, that really showed. So when you want it for them and they want it for you, just bring me more into that and how special that is.
Yeah, and I think that, part of it's just the nature of the industry we're in. I think that sometimes it gets unnoticed how much time and energy and investment that we all put into each other. We're there every day, 6 or 7 days a week for practice, for film, for academic meetings, regardless of the level, Division 1, 2, and 3. And I think that the bond that you build throughout that, it just comes naturally. I think if you have good people around you and you're a good person yourself, then naturally you're going to be, cohesive in the sense of wanting that for each other, wanting that success, wanting the well-being and making sure that everybody's okay. And, part of my role as head coach at Medaille and kind of turning over a new culture and building things there was, that's what I wanted. I wanted them to be invested in each other. And, and I wasn't sure if it was always that case previous to that. And there was even some points during this year where things got rocky with some relationships. But to me, that was the most important thing. And I knew the basketball side of it would come. And, record-wise, we maybe didn't win as many games as we'd have liked to. But I feel like we were in a way better place at the end of the year, team-wise, because of that. And I think part of that's the relationships. And I think ultimately that's the industry we're in, is relationships. It's relationships with them as teammates. It's relationships with myself and assistant coaches, with the players, administration, that kind of thing. And to me, it came from a place of being genuine, right? Like I wanted that for them genuinely. So, and I think as young kids these days, I know we knock generations in regards to the next generation coming, but the one thing that I do think that these kids really, really see is if you're disingenuous and it doesn't come from a genuine place, they'll see through that. So I think that helped a lot too.
And I love everything that we're talking about here this morning with Nick Moore, Binghamton women's basketball assistant coach and aiding and recruiting and defensive coordinator. I got to hear about the news through the words of Beth Ann Shapiro-Ord, the head coach. So she was like, yeah, Medaille closed, and that was sad and upsetting. And I called up Nick and I was like, what are you doing? You want to come back? And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. So, I mean, she didn't want you to go. And now she's got you back. What is, I mean, like you said, you're trying to help all your student athletes. You're like, hey, I'll be okay. And it meant the world to you that when you were helping them, they were saying, Coach, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
To have, you always hope that you leave a place better than you found it. And you always hope you don't burn bridges and that you build them and you keep them going. When you left Binghamton and you left Beth Ann's program, to hear Beth Ann say, like, do you want to come back? Like, I want you back. How meaningful and just amazing was that moment to hear your former boss say, I'm sorry for what you're going through, but selfishly, I really want you to come back home.
No, I mean, it meant the world to me, to be honest. I mean, I think it speaks to the relationship that her and I had, the relationship that the staff had here previously. The decision to leave last July was a hard one. It was one where, like I said, 13 years as an assistant coach, and I was ready to try to make that next step as a head coach. And it worked out in a unique situation. I'm from the Buffalo area, so it was a chance for me to kind of get close to home as well and do that. So it was a hard one, though. We've invested a lot in where this program's going from the recruiting standpoint, relationships with the kids. And I really like the group we have that I missed out on last year, and then the group we have coming back this year, right? So it was a hard decision to start. But I'll never forget that conversation, because the day coach called me, she honestly didn't even know at the time that we were closing. I remember I was driving to visit an older brother of mine, and I had just gotten off a Zoom with the team, and I had just told my current Medaille team that, hey, listen, this is what's going down. This is what's happening. We're closing. And she was in the car with Coach Newman, our associate head coach, and they were all fired up about an opportunity. And I had to break the news to them and say, hey, listen, it's funny you call, because here I am just getting off a call with my team saying, hey, university is shutting down. So that obviously lifted a huge weight in regards to what the next step was for me. It was a no-brainer. When coach reached out and said, hey, listen, we got a chance for you to come back. Do you want to? It was honestly it was a no-brainer. The relationships here, the people here, it's a beautiful place. It was just, it really made the transition a lot easier, knowing that, like, okay, things were, even though I couldn't really talk about it, I had to kind of let things play out a little bit. It was just nice to have that weight lifted and know kind of what my next step was going to be.
And I mean, it's all about the people, and you talked about, relationships. And I mean, I had the conversation yesterday in a meeting with a potential, partner in business. And it's funny because I had somebody who didn't get it, and I don't think they get it still today, when they said, well, why do you call it a partnership? What's a partnership? I'm confused by partnership. And I was like, this is a very simple thing to understand. Partnership means you work together. And, when I work with businesses, I don't call it a sponsorship. And I tell people this for years. I don't call it a sponsorship. They say, why? I said, because a sponsorship is, I ask you for money, you hand me money, I put you on the back of my t-shirt, and that's the day, right? But a partnership is when you are constantly working together. It's not just about the money. It's about give and take. It's about, this works, this didn't work as well. What can we tweak? What can we do? So whenever I sign somebody on, I call it a partnership, because that's what it's supposed to be. It's about relationships. It's about creating, people want to work with people that they like being around. That's what it is. Things are going to go up and down. Money's going to go up and down. Wins and losses go up and down. But the consistent is, if you come to work every day and you say, in my case, I want to promote these people. These are good people. They're not just businesses looking to make money. They're good, genuine people. You come to work, say, I want to work with this staff. I love my boss. I appreciate this. I like the atmosphere. I like this team. When you enjoy what you do, when you love what you do, and you do what you love, you don't work. And the funniest thing is
100%.
You and I might work a 16-hour day, and everybody else works an 8-hour day or a 6-hour day or whatever. And they're dog tired, right? Because they're emotionally exhausted. They're mentally exhausted. They don't like being at work. They're praying for Saturday on Monday. But when you and I go to work, we work 16 hours, and people say, why aren't you more tired than us? Why did you go to bed at 1 and wake up at 7? Like, what are you doing? But when you love it, when you enjoy it, when it means something to you, when it's about the relationships, and the relationships are positive and they're good and they're strong and they're honest, it's not work. And I'm going to say this publicly because I've said it to Beth Ann before, but I've done stuff with Binghamton. I want to do more with Binghamton. And when we talk about partnership, because I believe in the people, and I blame Beth Ann and I blame Lavelle because they're the people that were my welcoming into Binghamton University. And I blame them 1,000% for being so good and so kind and so open and so appreciative that it made me care about what Binghamton is doing as a whole. And now that you're back, well, I'm putting Binghamton on alert even more that, well, now I care more. So, but it is. I mean, and you talked about it. There's something there. There's something in Binghamton. What is it? I mean, what's the pulse of Binghamton University?
Yeah, to be honest, I think you hit the nail on the head with the people. I feel like part of my process of Madai closing, figuring out my next step, moving away from Buffalo, just having gotten a really good year with close to my family. I'm one of 5 siblings, got nieces and nephews. My parents and step parents are all there. And, it was a fun year for them to be able to experience me as a first year head coach and get to experience that with them. Right. But I said to myself, if I'm going to go somewhere and uproot again, it's going to be somewhere where I'm loved just like that. And I have that same relationship, and I feel that 100% here. And it's not just with Coach Orr; it's with Lavelle and his staff. My first day back in there, like the cheers and the hugs and the all of that from those guys was just as exciting as anything. And that kind of trickles down through the rest of the department. It's really a close knit. We're a good sized state university at 18 to 20,000 students, but it's very much a small community. Like President Stanger, our president of our university, I forever have said this. I've been at now. Back here, making it 4 Division Ones and 2 Division Threes. I've met and talked to President Stanger more than anywhere I've ever worked, and I really mean that. Like he's immersed in this community, and he remembered who I was, and he talked about me going to Madai and them closing and all those things, and excited for me to come back. And just for me as an lowly assistant coach. That means a lot. It just shows the investment in the people that this university has. So, but it's just like anything. It's a grind of a job, and this because you just talked about it. But if you like the people and you love who you work with and what you do, it doesn't feel like that. And
yeah.
I knew I wasn't rolling the dice coming back. I knew what I was getting, and I knew that I was getting that. And the one thing Coach Ord and when I got hired in 2019, my prior relationship with her was a couple months. I met her at the Final Four down in Tampa in 2019, and I knew her former assistant coach at the time. We just connected over dinner one time as with a group of people, and she didn't have any openings on her staff at the moment. And then about a month later, one of her assistant coaches left for another job, and she called me up, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I was actually driving from Ohio to Fredonia, my hometown. And she was like, "Well, can you swing by Binghamton?" And I'm like, doing the math in my head. I'm like, well, it's like 4 hours out of the way, but yeah, sure, I'll swing by Binghamton.
Yeah.
And I came and watched her workout and had lunch with the staff, and we talked for a while, and offered me a job on the spot, basically. So but from that moment on, she has given us ownership. That's one of the things I really love about working for coaches. Like, we have ownership in this program. It's not just her program and then we work for her. We work with her in doing everything, and she really gives us a lot of responsibility. Even with my titles as recruiting and defensive coordinator, I mean, there's I make a lot of decisions that I haven't always gotten at other places. And, after relinquishing some control as a head coach and coming back to being an assistant, that's one thing I knew I wanted. And I knew I'd get here from her too. And it just shows like her trust level in us and her respect for us and our pedigree and where we've been. And it's like that with everybody on staff, from associate down to, video and director of operations.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, she makes it fun, and so does Lavelle. And when I came to a doubleheader this past season, and she can also tell you this, I tried to come to another game, and it was when we had one of those like awful snowstorms, and I was on my way driving on 81, and I'm talking to the SID, I'm talking to her, and I was like, I don't think it's safe for me to be on the road right now. And it wasn't. Like, it was not safe at all, but I was trying to get there. And because that's how much I care. That's how much I care about what they're doing. And going down for the doubleheader that I did get down there for, when I came into the arena, I remember I walked in, I got my credential, and I turned to my left, and I started to walk straight, and I see Lavelle. And Lavelle is like, big smile. He goes, "There he is. What's going on, man?" Introduces me to who he was with, and he goes, "This is Dan Tortora. We want to do work with him. Like, we want to do more stuff with him. He's got great ideas for the university." That's how he introduced me. Like, automatically, just supporting me, red carpet, or green carpet, I should say, rolls it out. Then I see Beth Ann, And it's like they waited for me to come into the press conference. They're like, okay, Dan's here, we could start. Then I spoke with her, and she's like, it's so good to hear your voice. And then she says to me, like, all the media's there. She's like, are you going to be here for a little bit? Can you wait? And I waited in the hallway, and then she just talked with me in the hallway and just spent time with me. And then she walked with me and spent more time with me. And I mean, I told them both, I was like, you guys made me feel like a VIP. Like the athletic department as a whole, Beth Ann, as well as Lavelle. I mean, I genuinely felt like I was some celebrity coming into the game, because they're like, what do you need? Do you have everything? And like, they're the coach. Do you need a water? What do you need from us? And I mean, it was just incredible. And like I said, I want to give the staff in the sports information department a ton of credit too, because it was like, Dan's here, like, what does Dan need? And I was just like, I remember driving home, calling my parents, being like, they treated me like I was the top broadcaster for like 100 years. And I was like, I don't deserve that, but it was such a beautiful, wonderful experience. So, to experience that in a few hours, I can only imagine what it's like for you to work there. Yeah. So I see assistant coach, I see recruiting, and then I see something you normally see in football, defensive coordinator. So describe to me this long title that Beth Ann has decided to give you.
Yeah, it's funny. We talked a lot over the past couple of years, and it's one that's become a little bit more, popular in college basketball in the past couple of years in regards to having that maybe defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator titles. And, from the recruiting coordinator standpoint, a lot of that's something I've done most of my stops at the Division I level. I was at same position at Canisius College, at Bowling Green, and then obviously back my first stop here as well. And that for me has been like, I enjoy that side of the college aspect. The recruiting for me, building relationships, getting to know kids. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I really enjoy that. It's a drug too. There's a certain high you get when you get that call from a recruit that says, "Hey, yeah, I'm coming to Binghamton." It's a lot of fun. But there's a lot that goes into that as well too, in regards to organizing travel, where we're going for NCAA live periods, organizing all of our classes. I mean, at this level, we're always recruiting kind of three classes. You always got the class that's coming in. You got the juniors in high school who you're really offering and committing. And then you got those sophomores who, now with the NCAA rule, we're allowed to call them on June 1st of their sophomore year. So that one is, so you really got three classes going at once. So the organization side of it is something that hasn't always come natural to me, but I think now that I'm going on year 15, I've gotten pretty good at it. So that side of it's fun. And then the defensive thing, that's one thing Coach and I talked when I first got the job here in 2019. And she's got, her and Devin, our associate head coach, got a lot of stuff offensively they've done for years, and a lot of things that they feel strongly about, and it's been very successful for us. And the one thing they talked about was whoever they hired, giving them more responsibilities on defensive end would allow them to focus more offensively on what we're doing, and that person could focus defensively. So, which for me was great, because I've kind of always felt like I've been a defensive guy anyways, and so yeah, coach kind of just gives me full ownership on it. We have all the stuff we do defensively, concept wise, big picture, half court, full court, all that stuff is a lot of stuff that she gives me ownership in, which is nice. Part of that is I came in with a plan, and here's what I want to do, and she liked the vision, and we move forward with it, right? So that's kind of the thing that we do with that, and it allows us for different things, for practices and games, to break things down a little bit differently. There's an opportunity in practice now where when we're going through live scrimmaging or different stuff, I can focus in on that defense instead of watching everything, and then her and Coach Newman can be able to watch, more of the offensive stuff, which allows us to, less things maybe fall through the cracks with that. And then same thing in games, allows in games for me to be able to talk to the team and make some defensive adjustments in the huddle during timeouts. And then she can come in and talk offense and maybe some big picture stuff. And I also think it helps these players hearing different voices. Inevitably, if my voice or Coach Ord's voice or Coach Newman's voice is the only voice they hear, they'll start to tone us out a little bit or tune us out a little bit. So I think it helps in that aspect as well, too. But, it's just something that we've kind of done here in regards to how we break things down staff-wise, and I think it works for us. And it gives us some ownership in what we do, but it also gives us the ability to focus in a little bit more on specifics instead of, having to worry about everything.
Yeah, and I think it's great too, because like you said, I mean, you could focus up on different things and different pieces and really zero in on things, which I think is incredibly important to have something like that. I mean, I played basketball all my life and love the sport so very much. And, I think having an offensive and defensive coordinator, it's a long time coming to really start calling it that and zeroing in on, instead of saying like you have guards, you have forwards, you have centers, to say you have offense, you have defense. You're like, yeah, we can work on certain things at certain positions, but let's face it, in a 2-3 zone or a 3-2, I mean, we're going to be working with multiple. If I'm working in a 2-3, I'm working with my forwards and my centers in the back line. I'm working with my guards up front. So why not, have more of the scheming and more of the defensive mind? And this is where we're going to switch into, because no matter what position you're playing on the court, if you're not moving together, then it's not going to work, right? If your forwards get it and your center gets it, but your guards don't get it, then undeniably in a 2-3, for example, your forwards are going to have to cheat up. If your forwards aren't moving, your center should never have to go to the corner. And when your center goes to the corner, that's leaving everything wide open for an easy rebound and a putback. So I think that teaching defense as opposed to teaching these forwards about it and these guards about it, it just makes a lot more sense. And with those players that could shift, with those guard / forward, forward / center, now you're not going, okay, well, you're a guard, but then when we do this, we might shift you over to small forward. Now we're not worried about the guards are here, the forwards are here. Where do we put this person? Because they could be both. We're just talking about defense. We're saying, okay, we're going to play man-to-man, but we're going to have man-to-man help, and we're going to have man-to-man press. We're going to have man-to-man full court, man-to-man half court. So now you're just teaching the orchestration of the defense and not so much the position. I'm getting amped up. I love it. You can tell that this is in my brain. You guys are going to have to let me.
I love that. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's one thing that, when we start talking defense, it's not positions. We got our 1s through our 5s are all doing the same drill work that we're doing for our half-court defensive concepts. I think that the reason I like what we do defensively is because it doesn't matter the position, and we'll start to get to a little bit more breakdown, maybe our post defense and how we guard in the paint, but everybody's doing everything, I think that's kind of helps, and that's maybe more towards what we're doing philosophy-wise. We really want positionless players. We want kids who can play multiple positions. I think that's helps when you have kids that can play multiple positions. It really allows you to do different stuff defensively. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. If we can teach, my thing has always been is if we can teach big picture principles defensively, then we can do whatever we want, right? We can do zones, we can do mans. Coach Ward loves to press, so that's her baby. Our full court press is what she loves, and she got it from her Louisville days with Coach Walls, and it's been really good for us. So, it just allows us to be flexible if we have those base principles kind of built into what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because Louisville loves to press, and so and with different coaches in history. But yeah, I mean, it's just y'all are gonna have to let me come into some training sessions and some film stuff because you could tell that my those wheels start turning, and it's like being on the inside of a watch. And so I just I love it. I love basketball and love seeing all those parts of it. Nick, before I let you go, what would you say to a prospective student athlete now, like you said, that you could talk to sophomores, juniors, and seniors? What would you say to prospective student athlete in this world of any state, of any team, prep school, high school, whatever it may be, transfer? What should they know about Binghamton women's basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you touched on it earlier when you talked about coming here for the first time. Like I've always felt like if we can get a recruit on campus, you don't have to sell it. This place is beautiful. We have a beautiful campus. We have beautiful facilities. It's quaint. It's built into the side of the mountain. We got a nature preserve. We got a new $65 million baseball stadium right next to us. But I think our game day experience is bar none. If you look at traditionally what we've done in our conference in terms of attendance, we've led the league in attendance for however many years now. Part of that's a community. It's a basketball community. I wish we could get more students at our games because we average 12 or 1,300 people, and the majority of those are community members. So But I think if we can get kids here, it checks all the boxes. We're top 25 in the country every year for public universities in terms of education. We got a lot of different programs, our school of management, our engineering program, all that stuff that is bar none in the country. So from an education standpoint, it's a no-brainer. But I think if you get here and you walk around campus and you get a feel for kind of who we are and what we're about, it's an easy sell. I feel like, and I've worked some places, I won't mention those places where you had to sell it, and you got to pitch it, and you got to, be that car salesman a little bit. But I feel like here it's just from a place of being genuine. It's a nice place. It's great people. It's beautiful. And it makes our jobs a little bit easier in that sense.
Coming from Nick Moore, the Binghamton Bearcats women's basketball assistant coach and recruiting as well as defensive coordinator. Nick, so happy to have you back home, and I look forward to many more conversations. This was so much fun for me. Like you feel the energy of people, and I feel your energy, and I'm like, hey, Nick, can you like just kind of come along with me today? So when somebody cuts me off in traffic, I can look over and be like, yeah, but Nick Moore's with me, so I'm good. So I mean, I got to keep that positivity with you, Nick. So let's keep talking. Let's keep the conversation open. But I love the fact that I got to have you today.
No, I appreciate it, Dan. Thank you. I feel the same way. I mean, what you're doing here with this platform and kind of, showcasing a lot of different programs, especially in this part of the state, is awesome. And I look forward to having, hopefully have you on again.
Absolutely. And we will very soon. So I look forward to talking with you. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks, Tim.
Take care. Coming here from Nick Moore once again on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We want to welcome you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Wake Up Call on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT. Of course, on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, and you can find us on the homepage of wakeupcalldt.com with the live feed embedded for Podbean, as well as the logos for Facebook and YouTube. So you can literally go to wakeupcalldt.com in the morning, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Click on any one of those. Click on the Podbean feed that's right on the homepage. Click on the YouTube logo or the Facebook logo, and it'll bring you right to our show live from our website, wakeupcalldt.com, where everything is so nicely put together and easy for you to find. And once we go live, we jump into the archives. So we're going to be adding a bunch of these shows. You'll be able to watch and listen back on so many different places, I should say, here on Amazon Music, on Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And I want to give a special thanks today, tomorrow, and the next day to the wonderful, wonderful people that I am so blessed to work with at Carvel DeWitt, where we have our own Sunday. The DT Dolphin is available to you every week, all throughout the year. You could go and get the DT Dolphin, which is obviously inspired by my partnership with the LeMoyne College Dolphins. And you could get that mint chocolate chip ice cream, which is green for the Dolphins, whipped cream, cherry, hot fudge, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Nobody does it like Carvel DeWitt, and nobody has the DT Dolphin except for them, right down the road from LeMoyne. Go and get it today, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. The Wildcat Sports Pub, PB&J's Lunchbox, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Chick-fil-A Clay, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, K9 Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Watertown, 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant in downtown Syracuse. Our exclusive Downtown with Dan series, films from 317 at Montgomery. I get to taste test their amazing food and tell you what's great over there. Spoiler alert, it's everything. And you can go over and try it for yourself at 317 at Montgomery Street, Tuesday through Saturday. So make sure you do that. Great Lakes, Honda City, Pizza Man, and of course, Mother's Cupboard, where we have our exclusive sandwich, My Spin on a Breakfast Sandwich, available 7 days a week on 3709 James Street in Syracuse. The Cuse McMother, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and eat it with syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Available to you only at Mother's Cupboard, a staple of Syracuse, New York. The Cuse McMother, and it is so very good. As you know, every Wednesday, and of course all throughout the year, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Division 2 and on July 1st, Division 1 LeMoyne College Dolphins. So I'm very excited that I got to make history with LeMoyne being my first ever partner, exclusive multimedia marketing partner. And now I get to say that they are my first ever Division 1 multimedia marketing partner. So big shout out to LeMoyne, and thank you once again for their belief and their faith in me as we get set for year 3, which I can't even believe that it's already been 2 years going on 3. AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Dolphin Dive, where I get to dive into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. Today we had Isaiah Salter with a Dolphin Dive like you've never seen it before. Really cool. Got to play, show you a shooting and being out there, doing some hoop game. And I don't know why I said anything the way I just said, doing some hoop game. We were out there shooting on the court. It was a lot of fun, had a great time. And of course, you stayed till the end. You got to see that trick shot and telling you to believe in yourself, which was awesome. Joe Tesori, speaking of believing in yourself, what an incredible inspiration he is. And got to talk with him from men's and women's golf as the head coach. And we have so much coming up, under-promising and over-delivering throughout the year with LeMoyne. You can find all of our LeMoyne content that consistently grows on our website, wakeupcalldt.com. Click on LeMoyne, and of course, subscribe to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, fins way, 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 way up. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. The Bobcats come to you every single month like they did this week with Brian Yurton. What an incredible conversation and awesome ideas that we have for esports and in general at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. Really cool video opportunities coming up that we're going to be doing with them. We have only made history in doing things very uniquely. There's things we've done at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse that we've never done anywhere else. And you can see those videos by going to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and searching Bobcat Buzz. And of course, for more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. Thanks to the administration, student athletes, and coaches, as well as national champions. Yes, I said it. National championship teams, which they have multiple at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. The Bobcats are awesome, and Bobcat Nation is always going strong. Shout out to the Bobcats, and thank you so much for believing in me. With that being said, I can't thank my guests enough today. Their kind words and sentiments honestly have brought tears in my eyes. They warm my heart. God was speaking to me through these people 20-fold today, and I felt it. I felt like, it was like, really? Like, that's a blessing, that's a blessing, that's a blessing. Like, God is great, and I love it, and I can't thank God enough for the seat that I get to sit in every day. Mon, Paz, Kettle Corn, and I really can't. I'm just, I'm speechless. Like, God believed in a little kid with a lot of dreams, and he has helped me through everything. Like, everything. And it's just beautiful. I mean, it's good after good after good. I mean, I feel like I'm living the life of 10 people, and I'm so grateful to have a 30th of the blessings that I have, and I thank God for over blessing me. I really do. So thank you for that. I always say to God, thank you for over blessing me. It doesn't mean I'm going to give any of those back. I appreciate all those gifts, and my gift back to God is to just pay it forward. Just keep paying it forward. Keep helping. Keep loving. Keep trying to make this world a better place. Keep talking about God. Talking about love. Talking about, just making people laugh and hugging people and holding a door for them and telling them it's going to be okay, and getting on the phone with them and seeing how they're doing, and just letting people know that they're seen and that they're appreciated and they're not a ghost and they're cared for, and that what one person thinks of them or what whoever thinks of them, that doesn't It's what they think of themselves. And you know, like I said to Isaiah, you can listen to the voice of God or you can listen to the voice of the world. And they're very different. One of them is going to help you move forward. The other one is going to send you all over the place. And sometimes backward, a lot of times backward. And you don't want to go there. So thank you to Isaiah Salter and LeMoyne men's basketball. Thank you to Joe Tesori and LeMoyne men's and women's golf. Thank you to Nick Moore and Binghamton women's basketball. Thank you to the community of Central and Upstate New York. Thank you to the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, overseas, all around the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you for playing Wake Up Call, for sharing Wake Up Call, for everything you do to just be a part of this show. This is a passion project. It's always been that way. It will always be that way. And I'm moved to tears and I'm beyond words of gratitude for all of the kind things that people have said, including today. Thank you for picking up what I'm putting down, and thank you for just loving me and giving me a chance and welcoming me and letting me be a part of your day. I appreciate that so very much, and it's incredible. So thank you to all my partners for believing in me. Thank you to all my friends. Thank you to everybody that's made me an uncle that didn't have to, that's made me a godfather that didn't have to, that calls me their brother and that didn't have to. That chose me. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you to everybody that told me I couldn't make it. Thank you to everybody that told me that I could. Thank you to everyone that sent hate my way, because you made me grow. And thank you to everybody that has genuinely loved me and didn't just say it. You know, thank you to my future blessings, my current blessings. Thank you to every single person and my dogs, my animals, everyone that has just been so godlike and just loving and caring. Thank you for the hugs. Thank you for the words of encouragement. And, thank you again to all the hate, because you were so wrong. And I love myself so much more today because you hated me and because you do. So thank you for the hate. And thank you for the love equally. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Nick. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT. Twitter at Call DT. Instagram at Wake Up Call _underscore DT. Today at 3 o'clock, Wednesday, June 21st, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we have a massive announcement. Oh my goodness, I want to tell you. I can't. A few more hours. I can wait, I think. And no, I can. And so at 3 o'clock today, big time news for Wake Up Call, Super Powered Pop, Do Diz with Dan, Comic Book Trails, Two Mics No Filter, and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media as a whole. All of my brands are coming together for a big release. And I'll tell you today at 3 o'clock. In the meantime, God bless.